Hey guys, HuShang here. Welcome to another Starcraft 2 lesson. We're watching a game here against CatZ, a big dog on the Starcraft 2 NA ladder. I think he's rank 39 right now. And we're gonna play a ZVZ against him. I'm also playing Zerg here. It's a very instructive game, I think, because I feel like a lot of my students are teching too quickly in ZVZ. And this matchup kind of operates like a tug of war. And if you stop tugging for too long, then mutas pop out and you lose. So you kind of want to keep up this pressure to some degree and just kind of force them to be always making some units, whether that's like Banes or Roaches, to keep them in check. So yeah, so I think this is a really good example. We obviously get completely pounded in this game, not even close. And because it's CatZ, but yeah, we can watch this and hopefully learn some things from him. So very basic openings, both playing hatch first. Let me just fast forward this part. Get our queens. You can see we're both playing pretty much mirror builds. And I'm gonna make quite a few Zerglings here. Grab our third base. And then from this point in the game, it's kind of a non-standard game, I guess. Like usually people go for Bane nests, but what I've been playing a lot lately is just straight into Roach Warren. And if my opponent does like a massive Ling Bane all in, what I end up doing is just kind of sacking this base a lot of the times. And it's kind of okay though, because if they make like 20 Zerglings to cancel this, I just drone my natural and then just hold on the ramp with my queens, 3 queens. And then the result is, okay, I lost my third base, but at the end of all of that, I end up having, you know, a really sick economy and they're on like 20 drones. So we're way ahead and just completely winning. Okay, so I come in here with my lings, kind of scouting around. Ideally, I probably don't use this many lings to scout, but it's okay. A little bit over invested. And he did get my, he did get an overlord kill there as well with his queens. But at the end of all this, I think we're pretty even. Like I'm actually up a couple of drones here. And he's going for a massive ling flit. This is one of the main ideas of the style. So let me pause for a sec. So when you play the Bane styles, you don't necessarily need to make a lot of Zerglings, because if your opponent goes for a mass ling flood, you end up having like 4 Banes and you can defend. But if you play this Roach style, you are screwed because you don't have any Banes. You don't have any way to counter the Zerglings. So basically with this style, you have to do a ling flood. Like there's no way around it. You have to go for the ling flood. And so in this game, you can see that we're both going for lots of Zerglings, ready to do that. He actually did it a little bit earlier than me, which ends up being a little bit of a problem, as you'll see in a sec. But if you want to play this style, just make sure that you're doing a ling flood early on. Otherwise, your opponent makes a lot of lings and Banes, you're just completely screwed. Also, this map is like super tight, so I think this is part of the problem. Just it's very difficult to defend this early ling pressure. I think it would have helped actually if I bring all my queens and maybe I had a little bit of a better creep spread going on. But he just has slightly more lings, and so he's getting a better trade here early game, which means I have to make more Zerglings than him. And yeah, we're just trading a little bit too poorly here. So he's starting to get a small lead. But of course, we are able to eventually defend, push him back. And I don't think my position's completely lost here. I think we're okay. But I think I make a mistake in a couple seconds here, which ends up costing me a pretty big lead in this game. So basically right now, he's trying to get into his Roaches. And I made way more Zerglings than I needed. So I could have droned like he did. But I ended up making 14 more Zerglings. And so I think I just gave him a bit too much respect, to be honest. It's CatZ, guys. So I'm counterattacking, and I thought, okay, he had like a pretty good amount of Zerglings. He's probably making some Roaches at this point, or some Banes. And so I didn't go for the push. But realistically, I think if I look at my army here, I've got like 30 Zerglings. And he has like 13. And his Roaches are kind of just popping. So if I was applying pressure maybe like right now, I think there's only 2 roaches in this little pod here. And the Zerglings and the Queen, so I think I can at least kill all of this. Maybe even some drones. And then I'm trading my lings in like a pretty efficient manner. And then we both go into roaches at like an even game. But instead I kind of played this passively. I'm not even sure why I played it passively, to be honest. Because like usually when you make units, you got to go for it. I guess I saw these roaches and I just assumed like, oh, I can't break that. But yeah, slightly earlier and we probably could have. So now we're like definitely behind. We're, you know, 6 drones behind. And it's not a great position. It's not over, but it's not great. So CatZ going for +1 missile. I'm going for carapace. The reason I'm going for carapace, well, at least the idea behind getting carapace is I think it's a little bit better against Muta. And I'm terrified of Muta, which is why I'm playing this style. But I think if your opponent's playing roaches, it's much better to go for missile. The roaches, like roach against roach, missile is definitely better than armor. So I should be going missile in this game to clear that up. But we're going carapace. It's not the end of the world again. It's like a small mistake. But at this level, those small mistakes are pretty important. Okay, so I realized like I have all these Zerglings. I kind of need to do something with them because if I just keep them, they're going to be completely useless later in the game. So I'm trying to get something done here, like anything basically. I get 2 queens. It's probably not worth it, honestly. But it's something, I guess, right? Something for those Zerglings. I should have used them earlier, but now we're getting some value instead of them being completely useless. And okay, so one thing I want to bring up here, like a mistake I see a lot of people making, are going for like double evo here. I was just teaching a student of mine going for double evo, or even something like going for a layer and then trying to get like Hydra. Basically, you don't really want to tech too fast in ZVZ. You want to have like the bare minimum tech, because if you tech too much and they go into mutas, game's over. You're screwed, you know? And if they go for an all-in and you're also teching like that, you're also dead. So the name of the game is just like bare minimum, you know, 1 evo, get the layer still, so you can go into +2 missile and then roach speed, but no more than that, at least until you've got, you know, your third saturated and stuff. You can see here, like, CatZ going for a little bit of a push here. I think the idea behind this push, usually how I use this push, is to either force some roaches out of my opponent so they can't keep droning, and also to kind of keep them in check from going into muta. So the way you can think about this matchup is you have like an allotted gas amount, and if you apply pressure, you force them to spend some of that gas, which prevents them from going muta. So like if you have, let's say you have like 200 gas, right? You can either make 8 roaches. No, actually, let's do 300 since it functions a little bit better for this example. So let's say you have either 12 roaches, or you can go into the layer and the spire, right? And so if you're the one making the 12 roaches and your opponent's making the spire and you don't attack them, you're just immediately in danger town. So you need to make those roaches, but then you also need to force them to make the roaches. So CatZ made a bunch of roaches here. He doesn't know that I have roaches yet. So he's pushing out on the map to basically be like, are you going muta? If you're going muta, you're fucked, dude. But if you're not going muta, okay, cool, we can just back up and play a macro game. That's basically the idea of this push. Now he's going a little more committed, maybe trying to win the game here as well. He's got a bunch of Zerglings coming in. But that's basically the idea. I wonder if he should have waited for the missiles, actually. I don't know, it's kind of far. Maybe though. But yeah, so he comes in here. You can see that I have a lot of roaches. So this is like his first time seeing that I'm going roach. So now he knows that he doesn't need to worry about muta at all, basically. And for me, I mean, I'm just trying to survive here. Obviously, those lings early on put us a little bit behind, so this is a super hard hold. But we do have defender's advantage, and he's making a lot of Zerglings, which means he doesn't have as many drones. So if we can hold on here, there's maybe like a chance that we can come back in this game. He also made a lot of Ravagers too, which is super gas intensive. So I mean, I'm assuming we're dead here, but, you know, if we could just barely hold on, maybe we're fine. You can see here, he realizes, like, this is not working anymore, so he starts trying to target my drones. And he gets a couple. At the end of this, he's up, like, 8 workers. Pretty good for him. I'm going to make a bunch of Zerglings, and I'm going to basically do the exact same thing now. I'm going to counterattack and try to force some units out of him. So I think a lot of people here would just start droning, which you can do, but you also want to attack. And you have to attack here because he lost all of his units and I still have roaches. Like, so if I have 10 roaches and I just sit back and start droning, but he finished the attack and also started droning, he's going to have way more drones, right? One of us has roaches, one of us would just be droning. So by doing this counterattack here, I'm forcing him to also make more roaches, right? So he can't just drone uncontrollably. He's got to at least match what I have. So you can see here, he's making roaches. He knows this. My lings are doing a little bit of a counterattack here. I thought maybe we can do something like roach plus ling. Try to come over here and maybe make some sort of play work. But yeah, he had some really good drone micro here. I don't even think he lost a single drone. So yeah, we just walk home with our tail between our legs here. Not very effective. But, you know, at least we forced some roaches, I suppose, was the idea. In a more even game, that would have been a solid play without the Zerglings. Just the roaches pushing, forcing him to make roaches as we drone a little bit. And then once you drone and catch up, then you can make your roaches. So it's kind of like these layers, right? Like, you make a bunch of roaches, go push. As you're pushing, you drone. He has to make roaches because you're pushing. And then as you back up, you know, he's going to do the same thing. He's going to start pushing as he makes drones. So it's kind of like this back and forth tug of war. And yeah, unfortunately, like, I'm kind of cutting corners at some periods here. Like, I didn't get +1 to hold that all in. And my layer is quite delayed. So we're just kind of 2 behind in these little ways. And of course, he realized this earlier on. Like, he's got such a nice lead that he doesn't even need to play a macro game anymore. So he's just going for like a 50 drone mass roach timing. And of course, I'm not going to be able to hold this. So as soon as I see like 30 roaches versus 10, I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, we'll just tap out here. This is completely over. And yeah, that's game. So hopefully you guys found this instructive. It was nice to actually play CatZ. Obviously, super strong player. And I feel like he actually played the same way that I play. So that was really enjoyable, because normally when I play on ladder, I see people just like going straight into layer, roach speed, and +2 attack, whereas he's doing like these pressures to kind of prevent muta. So very interesting game. Hopefully you guys like that. That is it for today. I will see you guys in the next one.